What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast number 404. And if you're watching this on video, you probably noticed something. The TV behind me is a lot smaller. Now, you're probably like, what the hell happened? Why is that TV smaller? Believe it or not, I think it was a day after I recorded the podcast. I went upstairs. I was handling some business. I was on the phone with somebody, and then like I heard boom, boom, some noise. Like, I was like, okay, whatever, it's some noise, some shit happened probably outside or something. Little I know, I come downstairs here in my office like 2 hours later, and I see the big ass TV on the ground destroyed. So I think what happened is, because I remember when I recorded the podcast the night before, I bumped into the TV pretty good. But when I looked at it, like everything seemed fine. So something must have happened where I didn't screw the TV on right, or one of the screws got loose from that bump really bad. And I guess that was enough for it to just collapse and fall. So I ended up falling. It broke. It was my best TV, literally my best TV. It was a Sony TV that I paid. Well, I got it on Black Friday, so I actually saved some money. I think I paid like $900 for it, but like the actual retail price was like $1,200 or $1,300, which is the most I had ever paid for a TV at that time. So yeah, I just lost a nice, I think 65-inch Sony TV, which was really great. So came downstairs, saw it on the ground. I thought, because based off of first impression, I thought the screen didn't break. It looked like it just got scratched up, but then when I turned it on, it was all cracked and destroyed. So I had this TV. This is from my actual old office when I was at a while ago. So I had that TV just chilling at my brother's office. So I was like, let me just get that TV. It's a very old one. It's a 2020 TV, so very slow. It's a lot smaller too. It's not 50-inch. It's 50-inch TV, but the one that I had was 65-inch. So I'll probably wait till Black Friday, to be honest with you, to replace it, because I'm planning on redesigning this whole background, because I actually didn't want to have a TV back here. I just did it just to have something kind of to break away this design that's behind me. But I'm planning on having like a little logo on here that lights up, and then having like shelves of like cool hip hop related stuff or just cool music stuff. So this design's going to go away eventually, but I do plan on getting a TV at like Black Friday again. Try to find like a good TV that's high price, but like that's on a deal, because I already have enough TVs as it is around the house. I think I got like 4 of them. They're all old though. Like I think the newest one I have is like 2021, and they're just very slow. Like the Samsung one, this one is a Samsung. My God, it's slow. You push one button and it takes like 15 seconds by the time it responds. It's very annoying. But yeah, I'm glad it just didn't follow me while I was recording the podcast, because that could have been an electrical nightmare potentially, or just who knows what could have happened, because that's a pretty heavy TV landing on you, which I don't think it would have landed on me. It probably would have landed on the chair. But so I'm just glad it didn't happen while I was recording. But I would have kept that footage, and I would have literally shared it with you guys. As I would have like shared it on the internet. I wouldn't mind, getting clowned for that. But now, I want to talk about, obviously the news that's happening, but also I went to go see the Michael movie. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want any spoilers, I suggest towards the end of the podcast, when I review the movie, to not listen to me. Just end it, before I get to the Michael movie. And I will let you guys know, of course, again, towards the end of the podcast, when I talk about the Michael movie. I'm going to give my thoughts on it, kind of what I think. And I was going to rank Michael's albums, but I'm listening to them right now, so it's very hard to rank these albums. I don't know if I'm going to start with when he's finally like grown up with Off the Wall, or I should just go through his whole catalog from when he was a kid till his last actual album in 2001. So I don't know. I'll see. I'll make a decision on that. But I'm listening to all of his music. I've been listening to all his music this whole week. I've come to the realization he's just the greatest entertainer of all time. I mean, really, he has everything, every package, like everything that you could want an artist is Michael Jackson. There really isn't anybody who's embodied entertainment like him. And, with him saying he wanted to be the best of all time and be the greatest entertainer of all time, he accomplished that. It's not even about the sales. It's just about the pure talent. Like if you hear raw vocals of this guy singing songs, it's insane what kind of notes he can hit. With no auto-tune, just the raw vocals. Like this guy was just entertainment machine, man. And of course, he was starting to entertain at the age of 3 or 4 years old. So the second he was basically born, this guy was doing some type of dancing, singing. So he was born for that. Like literally, that's you know, he even said it himself, like the most comfortable he is in life is on stage. And that's where most people, 99% of people, are uncomfortable being in front of people dancing on stage. He is comfortable there. Like that's where he prefers to be. That's where if he's not there, he's uncomfortable. So it's, you know, he's just, yeah, there's nobody that even comes close to this guy. I mean, you could throw Chris Brown there, you can throw Usher, you can throw whoever you feel. But they're just, Michael Jackson's just a whole different tier. I mean, the guy, like I said, the guy can sing, dance, design, has an insane business mind. Like he was the complete package. And just an overall great person. You know, like you're never going to find somebody that like pure, you know, and that's the crazy thing is with him, like because of how pure he was, they took that child thing and just made it into something completely that was way fabricated. I mean, I actually went over a lot of the court documents and the files that people are trying to push as bad files or something negative, and they didn't, like, there's nothing there that indicated they did anything wrong to kids. So, yeah, I mean, people have their kind of weird things, and they're like, oh, you know, he's a grown man sleeping with children in the bed. But the way he described it is like, hey, I'm hanging out with all these kids. They're at my Neverland Ranch. They're always following me wherever I go. Even if I go lay down in bed, they're always, you know, jumping around. Oh, Michael, you know, having fun with them, you know, watching movies and all that stuff. Like, from an innocent mind, a mind that's pure, a mind that's not thinking in any way bad, there's nothing wrong with that. But from a sick person who's looking at it from like, oh, he's sharing a bed with a kid, like, you know, like you can share your bed with somebody. Obviously, an adult and a kid can be looked at in the wrong way. But if you're coming from a pure soul and you're not anything negative, you know, unless you're just thinking of negative shit all the time in your life, or if you're that type of bad person, which we'll be talking about this David guy, who's actual pedophile and actual murderer and stuff like that, then, you know, then you see something wrong with it. But yeah, he's vilified. He was attacked. He was destroyed in lots of ways. And you never really saw this guy get mad or like disrespect anybody, or, you know, like he was as nice and as kind and as pure as a human can get, man. It's kind of crazy, man. It's really shocking to me at that level to be still that great of a person, despite people, you know, tugging and pulling at you every single way. Just overall, you know, Michael Jackson is just something else, man. It's really insane. I think the guy is just, you know, like I don't think there will ever be anything like that. There's comparisons, you know, Drake always breaking these records, he's doing this, so Taylor Swift this and that. I don't know, man, just the aura. I think the number one thing is because in that era, in that time, Michael Jackson was like, there was only a few channels you could watch on TV for one, so the attention would be fixed on basically 3 channels at the time. I think it was ABC, CBS, and NBC maybe. I don't know the names. I know ABC was one of them, and then there's 2 other channels. And that's it. Those were the only 3 channels. So if there was an event happening, you only had 3 options. Or if you wanted to watch something, you only had 3 options. So what that does is, let's just say at that time there was 200 million people in America. Basically, the audience retention, the split is, let's just say it's 100 million people. You're looking at 33 million there, 33 million there, 33 million there. And that's an even split. But let's just say there's a big event happening on one channel. Basically 90 to 95% of those people will focus on that channel. So you got like 95 million viewers specifically. And that's just in America. Around the world is basically the same thing. So it's hard to get that viewer, like that direct viewer, what's the word? I don't know, retention is what I'm looking at, but that direct, like in today's time, there's too much entertainment options to have everybody fixated on one thing. Because if you look at the most major events like the Super Bowl or the World Cup, that's probably the closest we're going to get to like events where everybody watches at once. In America, obviously the Super Bowl. I think the World Cup, though, is like the event that like most people in the world watch at once. And that's the closest we're going to get to ever something like that again. I think the viewership on there was 117 million. But there was like the O.J. Simpson. Let's just see what the O.J. Simpson, when that happened, there weren't many options in channels, right? I mean, there were more because it was the 90s, but it was still very limited. So let me see. O.J. Simpson car chase viewers. Let's see how much it was. Approximately 95 million people in the United States watched it. And this was what? The mid 90s or early 90s. I think it was in 1993 or something like that. 94. Yeah, 1994. So there were a lot of, let's just see, how many channels were there? Between 36 and 70 channels. So there was pretty much quite a few channels, man. Let's just see now Michael Jackson. So when did he drop Thriller? It was 74, I'll just say. I think it was 1974. See, they were ranging from 3 to 10 channels. So like the viewership was just more condensed in some areas. That's kind of why we'll never see that level of star again, because I think just people's attention aren't as direct into one spot anymore. Now you have like endless amounts of entertainment factors. Endless. To get a really big superstar at that level, it's going to take like just a lot of people tuning in at once at one area. But yeah, so we're never going to see that type of level of fame. We're never going to see that type of level of maybe success. Maybe you'll see something like that close to it. Drake's getting there, but it's skewed with streams. It's skewed with like all kinds of different factors. And I'm going to talk about the Billboard Hot 100. Olivia Rodrigo again has a song that debuted at number 1 on the Hot 100. And she's the first artist to do so with like her first 3 albums, having her first single off her first 3 albums debut at number 1. And what confuses me is like the song's been out for 2 weeks. So how does that debut at number 1 when it's been out for 2 weeks? It's like the last week it should have charted, but it charted this upcoming week. It's just, see, that's what I'm saying. Like you'll look at things, you'll be like, this is kind of weird. It's like, how the fuck is this happening? Things are skewed now. It's like not as, I guess you could say not as honest, but even back then they were doing shit that was fucking up sales and that was making things look bigger than they were. But still, like you could back it up with the audience that like Michael Jackson would perform and do 150,000 people like it's nothing. So yeah, I don't know. It just nowadays it looks like it's not as big as that artist was back then, because back then it was more focused. I think in terms of human beings in the past 100 years, who could be like the biggest? I think Mother Teresa is there. She died in 97. She was huge, Mother Teresa. And then you got Michael Jackson. You got Muhammad Ali. Yeah, like these are the 3 in the last like 100 years. I might be forgetting a few people maybe, but regardless, like those are the 3 in the last 100 years that are like at ungodly levels of fame. But yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of factors, but I was just shocked at like, because this movie just kind of reminded me of the level of fame that he's at. But yeah, we'll talk about the movie later. Let's get into some news, and we're going to start with this David guy. So this David case situation just keeps getting worse. They found out that he allegedly met that underage girl that he murdered when she was just 11 years old. You're hearing that right, 11 years old. And they found out that she was pregnant at the time of him murdering her. So the story just gets worse and worse. Like this guy is like the pure definition of evil. I mean, there's no like, how much worse can this be? And I talked about in the last podcast of how much I hate this guy. And I hope like there's the worst torture ever done to this person. One thing that was interesting and that I really commend is that his brother came out and basically said like, fuck this guy. Like, I don't care that he's my brother. He's a piece of shit. He posted and he said all pedophiles and rapists should die, period. That's it. He was like, I don't give a fuck if it's my brother or not. And I agree with that take, because I don't know, for me, if God forbid, if my sister or brother did something that like was just terrible, like pedophile shit, you just can't excuse. Murdering is another thing. Depends on the context, obviously, but for the most part, I would not be with it. I don't care if you're blood related to me. Like if you're doing something that fucked up, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I don't recognize you as my brother or sister or somebody that I knew, even a friend, a close friend. So, shout out to, that guy's brother for not fucking with that and just being like, hey, fuck this guy. It doesn't matter if he's my brother or not. He should die. And I agree with that. Now, the interesting thing is There's a petition out there to remove his music from streaming services. Now, and people are not going to like this answer, but we can't pick and choose who we decide to take off streaming services and who we decide to keep. Because if you're doing this, then it opens the floodgates of a bunch of artists getting their music removed. Like Dr. Dre, he put his hands on a female, beat the brakes off of her. His music should get removed. R. Kelly, of course, we know what happened with R. Kelly. Lots of artists, man. XXX, I remember when X died, they were debating on should his music get removed because of his allegations and stuff. So that, you walk a thin line between picking and choosing. What I think should happen, I think this is the best resolution, because it's messed up to say, but there's some fans of this guy where they separate the art from the person. Some people can do that. Me personally, I can't, because I'll hear the music, and if they say something like R. Kelly, he's clearly a pedophile and all kinds of fucked up shit. When I hear him talk about girls, I'm thinking underage girls, because he's a freak like that. He's a fucking terrible person. So to me, I can't just separate the two, right? But what I think should happen for the people that can separate the two and that listen to still this guy's music and R. Kelly's and whoever, the people that can separate the two, I think what should happen is whatever streams money that they're getting from their music should go immediately to the victims' families or to donation places. Nobody should be able to profit off this. Not the labels, not the streaming services. Maybe the streaming services just for maintenance fees and shit like that, but they ain't really got much maintenance fees. That's what I think should happen with their music. So their music should still stay up, but all the revenue, every single penny, should either go to groups helping victims of this stuff or the victims' families, period. I think that's a great resolution to where the fans that still enjoy the music and that can separate the person from the art can still enjoy the music, and the family can still benefit off of the terrible thing that person did to their family. So I think if we do, that way, you're not removing and keeping and removing and keeping certain people. It's the same all across the board, just the back end, the music, where the money's going is not towards the fucking artists who did all this bullshit stuff or their family. To be honest with you, nobody should be benefiting off it. But yeah, that's my take on it. I think, picking and choosing, as much as I hate this guy, but once we do that, once we say, okay, this artist can't have his music because of this, then it really, you got to look at every artist like that then. It's unfair is basically what I'm saying. It's not a balanced approach. Whereas the approach that I'm saying is we can still have the artists up there, still have their music up there. The people that still want to listen to their music and can separate the artist from the art can still check out the music, but the money, the back end, the stuff that we aren't really aware of or even noticing, goes to the victims' families or to charity organizations that support these type of things. Yeah, so I noticed that was getting traction and people were, voting and doing all this stuff. I get it. I'm with you guys. This guy's a piece of shit. He should not have any more ounce of fame that he's ever gotten. Just a horrible, horrible person, evil, evil person. This is what they talk about when the devil is walking around. This is like a devil walking around, just an evil, disgusting person. But yeah, that's my take on it, and we'll see if there's any new updates. Hopefully the story doesn't get worse, because it's gotten so bad that it's it pisses me off, man. So rest in peace to the female that died, and fuck this guy forever. Updates on the Jam Master Jay whole murder thing that they found out. We reported on this years ago, and there's been a lot of major updates recently. So in October of 2002, Run DMC's Jam Master Jay was fatally shot at the age of 37 in his Queens recording studio. It's been nearly 25 years since Run DMC's Jam Master Jay was fatally shot at the age of 37. Yesterday, April 27th, 52-year-old Jay Bryant pleaded guilty to a federal murder charge. He explained to a judge that he helped other people get into the studio so they could ambush the DJ. I knew a gun was going to be used to shoot Jason Mizell, he told a federal magistrate per NBC News. I knew that what I was doing was wrong and a crime. Bryant's role in the murder was first revealed in 2023, and he was charged in a superseding indictment more than 2 decades after the cold-blooded execution style of Mr. Mizell. An exhaustive investigation revealed Bryant's role. U.S. Attorney Joseph Nokella Jr. said in a statement, Bryant did not name the other people he claims to have helped in 2024. However, 2 other men were convicted in Jam Master Jay's death, Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr. Jordan's conviction was overturned in December. After a review of the trial record, the court finds that the government's theories of Jordan's drug-related motive to kill Jay or drug offensive-related motive to use a firearm are impressionably speculative and just conjure. Judge LaShanne Darcy Hall stated at the time Jordan has met the heavy burden under federal rules to be granted a judgment of acquittal. Earlier this month, Judge Darcy Hall granted him a $1 million bond. For now, however, he remains behind bars on separate drug charges. That's a real chance. There's a real chance, Mr. Jordan, that you may be released in the very near term. U.S. District Judge Shannon Darcy Hall told him in court, "I wish you luck and you will stay out of trouble." Jordan could have been released shortly after that, but prosecutors ended up appealing his acquittal of 2 federal murder counts. As for Washington, his guilty ruling still stands. So, yeah, man, finally getting like full-on closure of this Jam Master Jay thing, and we're figuring out, who murdered what, and, because it was a long mystery, man. I remember like when, actually I was a kid, so I'm not saying I remember, like I fucking was paying attention to this shit at the time. I was like 7 years old. But I do remember, at the time MTV reports, as watching it years later, they were reporting that probably 50 had a role in it. Like not a role in killing Jam Master Jay, but because Jam Master Jay was affiliated with 50, and 50 had the whole Supreme shit happening and money on his head, that they attacked Jam Master Jay because that's, usually they try to attack people that are close to 50 to send a message. So it was like tied to 50 in that way, where they were like, it's probably they're trying to send a message to 50, but turns out, man, it's just some drug things, man. Jam Master Jay needed some money. He got involved in the wrong drug type of deals, and unfortunately it ended with his life. I think had he stuck out a little bit longer and just, I think 50 would have probably looked out for him, or probably put him on, because Jam Master Jay was somebody that really, idolized 50, helped him, and put him onto great positions. I don't know about idolize, that's kind of wrong term to use, but you know what I mean, like just really supported him. But yeah, rest in peace, Jam Master Jay, and I'm glad that this case is finally getting closure that it needs. Updates on the Busta Rhymes lawsuit with his ex-assistant. So we talked about this a while ago, and apparently there is a settlement. So let's go over this. Busta Rhymes and his former assistant, Dashiell Gables, have reached a settlement agreement in their legal battle, per Digital Music News. The details of it are private, as it was reached during a private mediation. The parties are finalizing the settlement documentation and anticipate that it will be completed within 10 days. This is a quote from a letter that both Rhymes and Gables' attorneys sent into a judge this week. It seems each side wanted to bury the hatchet as soon as possible. The outlet reports that said judge wanted them to file a formal motion for settlement by June 1st. If you haven't been following the story, Gables has been seeking $6 to $7 million for alleged assault, battery, and wage theft and infliction of emotional distress. He filed his lawsuit against the New York rapper in August 2025. Gables was allegedly attacked by Busta Rhymes in January of that same year at his Brooklyn building. Specifically, Gables was allegedly punched in the face and was allegedly subjected to abuse in the workplace. This allegedly stemmed from a shouting match that turned physical, as Rhymes allegedly was upset with Gables for being on his phone during working hours. The assistant, who also claimed he was cut off and fired by Rhymes and his team afterwards, went to the police. Rhymes then turned himself in, which shocked fans at the time when details were slim. The veteran spitter would be charged with third-degree assault. Rhymes didn't roll over, though. In October 2025, he would countersue Gables for defamation. He accused his former employee of extortion and harmful hits on his reputation. Sadly, when the initial lawsuit first hit the news cycle, it came days after Busta received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So clearly, if a settlement is done, either, I don't know if it's in a form of admission of guilt, but usually when you settle, either you just want to get rid of this stuff and be done with it, or you are like, hey, the evidence is overwhelming against us, and we have to settle. Now, here's the thing. This, to me, proves that, like, when you see these lawsuits, and we're going to be talking about a 50 Cent lawsuit in a little bit, like, this person acted pretty much immediately. It happened in January 2025, and in that same year, in August, he filed a lawsuit. So in January, that assault happened. He probably got fired in January or February, because around that time, he didn't get fired immediately. He got fired around that time. And he probably have evidence, photos and stuff, and he probably tried to, make things work with Busta Rhymes and say, hey, you can't be doing this to me. Can we figure out something to where you can at least compensate me for my work, or whatever the case may be? So it took a couple of months for that back and forth, and he just, fuck it, I'm going to sue. And that's, Like that's a good example of like, hey, somebody did me wrong. I'm going to act on this as quickly as I can. Versus you'll see in the 50 Cent one that's coming up, the lawsuit, this person is suing for something that happened in 2019. We're in 2026. Like, why did it take you 6-7 years to get a lawsuit? If somebody does me wrong, I'm going to try to settle it without having to do a lawsuit for a couple of months like this person did, and then I'm going to sue. I'm not going to wait years and years and years before statute of limitations go up, before evidence starts to get fucked up, before a lot of different things happen. So clearly there was something here that Busta Rhymes did because this person acted immediately, and that's the way you handle things. You act immediately. If somebody did you wrong, you don't wait. You give it a couple months, try to mediate and fix things. But if that's not working, then you sue. And that's what this person did. So that's the way to handle situations. And Busta Rhymes had to settle and figure out. They probably settled for a couple of million, maybe $1 million, $2 million. I doubt it was 6-7, which 6-7, you know that meme that's going around, whatever the fuck these kids, all these fucking memes. But I doubt it was 6 to 7 million, probably a little bit less. But still, everybody walks away with something, saving money in one way. Busta Rhymes saves by not having this lawsuit extend and him having to pay lawyers longer. And then that guy saves money by not having to do the same thing, and he gets his money a little bit earlier, not as much as he wanted, but he still gets some money. So that's the settlement of that. But yeah, I think that's the end of that. I don't think we're gonna have any updates on this moving forward. Tupac's stepbrother is suing. Mopreme is suing Keefe D for a wrongful death. So let's go over this. Keefe D is accused of orchestrating the 1996 murder of Tupac. He's currently behind bars awaiting his trial, which is scheduled to begin later this year. Earlier this week, the late icon's stepbrother, Mopreme, hit Keefe D with a wrongful death lawsuit on behalf of his father's estate, per the Los Angeles Times. The lawsuit also lists various anonymous co-conspirators. Mopreme is seeking damages related to Tupac's 1996 murder. Many individuals who were involved have long since passed away, while others have been hard to identify, the complaint reads. Yet one thing is certain, there remains individuals who were involved in Tupac's murder who for 30 years have not been held accountable for their crimes. This action seeks to change that. The lawsuit also alleges that recent developments have revealed the existence of a broader, more complex conspiracy to murder Tupac that involved much more than mere retaliation for a prior altercation. Yeah, we'll see how that works out and what happens, but I'm more interested in the Keefe D trial. We'll see if he's actually going to get convicted of murdering Tupac or having something to do with murdering Tupac. That's where, the crazy headlines are going to come from. But hey, man, let Tupac's stepbrother get whatever he can get out of this situation, man. He definitely deserves it. So we'll see what happens moving forward. 50 Cent is being sued by a former staffer over alleged retaliation and harassment. So let's go over this. 50 Cent is facing a new lawsuit from a former employee who claims her long working relationship with the rapper ended in retaliation, harassment, and intimidation. According to reports from TMZ, Monique Mayers has filed a suit against the G-Unit mogul. She alleges she worked for him for over a decade in senior operational roles across his various business ventures. She claims things took a turn after she refused to carry out requests she says crossed legal lines. In the complaint, Mayers alleges that during 50 Cent's past financial troubles, he asked her to place assets in her name to shield them. She also claims he pressured her to file a false police report accusing his driver or a bodyguard of stealing his vehicle along with $600,000 in cash. Mayers says she refused both requests. She claims that refusal led to her being fired. Beyond that, Mayers alleges that 50 Cent then worked to damage her reputation, including forcing a Forbes feature about her to be pulled. She also accuses him of continuing a pattern of intimidation in the years since, claiming she's been subjected to threatening messages, calls, and ongoing harassment. The lawsuit includes claims of intentional infliction of emotional distress and invasion of privacy. Mayers is seeking financial damages as well as a court order that would prevent any further alleged harassment or retaliation. A representative for 50 Cent has strongly denied the accusations. The rep called Monique a disgruntled former employee who was terminated for cause over 5 years ago. As of now, the case is just beginning to unfold, and no court has ruled on the claims. Still, the allegations add another legal situation to 50's long history of public disputes. Moreover, they often play out both in courtrooms and online. Given his track record, it wouldn't be surprising if 50 addresses the lawsuit directly at some point. For now, though, this is one that could take time to fully play out as both sides present their case. This is the one I was talking about where, like, this stuff was happening in 2019 and she She didn't like, hey, say, hey, I'm going to leave or I'm going to report this months later. She's literally suing in 2026. So I'm not saying that she's lying, but it's just like, come on, guys. If you have an issue with something, file a lawsuit at least within the year that it happened. At least 1 year. That's it. You can go back and forth and try to settle things. Okay, I get that. If a couple months go by or even if a year goes by, but 6-7 years later and you're trying to sue, it's like, come on, man. At this point, what are we doing? So that's my take on it. We'll see what happens. I mean, hey, man, she could have proper points and whatever, but the text messages she revealed don't reveal really anything. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but I don't really believe anything really happened in this situation. T.I. is having legal issues over him selling his catalog and trying to buy it back. So let's go over this. Very interesting. T.I. has faced his fair share of legal battles throughout his career, and now he's going up against Cinq Music. In 2017, the Atlanta hitmaker sold a large chunk of his recorded music catalog to the label, per Billboard. Now he alleges that they're refusing to honor a contract promising to let him buy back those masters later for cheap. Allegedly, they're asking for close to $50 million more than what he actually owes. Cinq regretted that it had agreed to the option terms and therefore did everything it could to frustrate plaintiff's efforts to complete the purchase. T.I.'s lawyer, Robert Jacobs of the law firm Manhattan, Phillips and Phillips, writes, thank God there's a lawyer and judge with a normal name that I can pronounce, Robert Jacobs. There you go. T.I. alleges that Cinq tried to artificially inflate the price of the masters in an effort to get more money out of him. Using those tactics, Cinq sought to extract a purchase price from plaintiffs that was nearly 20 times higher than the price mandated by parties' agreed upon formula, his lawsuit alleges. Yeah, interesting, man. So apparently in 2017, he just gave his catalog, sold it for that time. Maybe needed the money, which is always like, I'm like, how do you, like, I sometimes am shocked at how these artists like run out of money when they make so much of it. Like, why would you sell your catalog for that moment unless you're trying to invest into something that will bring you more money? So I hope that's the reason why he did. But now he's going to have issues trying to buy it back. And, we'll see what the lawsuit brings. But overall, it's like, try to avoid selling your catalog as much as you can because that's generational wealth. I mean, look at Michael Jackson. Obviously, I'm not saying T.I. is Michael Jackson, but some of T.I.'s records I think will still be playing for years and years and maybe decades. So, and the movies and all that stuff that he's done, I think a lot of those records are going to forever play, and that's forever money. That's residuals forever. So, yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward, but overall, just try to avoid, selling catalogs, man. That's one of the things that I've learned because I have a catalog when it comes to content that I do, and I try to avoid selling it. I've explored deals where they offer me like a lump sum money for the next 5 years. They take the earnings of the catalog, and then if they recoup that, let's just say they give me $100,000, and then they recoup in those 5 years $120,000. Those deals I've entertained here and there, but I've for the most part avoided because my catalog can bring me money over the years. Because whenever I drop like a documentary and it ties to old documentaries, those old documentaries start to jump in views too, which brings me in more money from those old ones. So speaking of documentaries, I got some coming. So I know I've been saying that for a minute, but I do have stuff coming, and the DJ Who Kid interview is coming very, very soon. But yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward with this. Speaking of money disputes and stuff, DJ Vlad, aka Vlad TV, and Aries Spears have had back and forth about now disputes of how much Aries wants to get paid. Now, I saw Aries' response, I saw Vlad's, and I always like to speak on this because it's coming from a perspective that I know. I know content creation, I know making money off content, I know the back end of this stuff, how much money you can make, so on and so forth. And based off of what, first off, Vlad's the first one to openly and publicly pay people and say, hey, he pays his guests to go on the platform. Obviously, he doesn't pay every single person on his platform. And really, some people they don't need the money, right? Like Grant Cardone is one of the people that he has on his platform. Grant Cardone is a billionaire. He doesn't need Vlad to pay him $5,000 to do an interview. It just doesn't really benefit him. He'd rather do the interview, get out there, have more content out there than, squeeze Vlad of 5Gs or 10Gs or whatever the amount of money that he would want to get paid, right? So there's some people that go on there and do free interviews, and Vlad's kind of system is reoccurring guests is who he pays. Reoccurring guests that constantly appear on the platform, like Tony Yayo, like Lil Boozy when he was paying him, like Aries Spears, so on and so forth. Those are the people that he pays consistently. So basically, Aries Spears, it was revealed that Aries Spears gets paid $4,000 every time he appears on Vlad platform, which I think is more than fair. Aries Spears, I had no idea about. I'm not big in the comedy world. I had no idea who he was. And Vlad's platform definitely put me onto him because I had no idea who he was. And it's clear as day that anything Aries Spears does content-wise outside of Vlad isn't performing well. I mean, he's struggling to get views on his podcast. And that's coming from somebody, from myself, that I'm not getting really that great of views. I get good views on like social media versions of the podcast, but like on the main channel, I don't really get a lot of views. He's a bigger name than me, Aries Spears. More people know him. So I'm surprised that he's struggling on his own platform to get views. But that just shows that there's an ecosystem. There's a format that's built in Vlad's platform. And it's the back and forth. You know, like Vlad is just as much as an entity on these interviews as the guest is. Because it's the way they go back and forth. It's the questions that are being asked. And Boozy's going to realize this because Boozy's doing his Patreon, and he's going to know that the chemistry just isn't there. And Aries as well. Aries is going to realize that, hey, he needed Vlad just as much as he needed anybody else. And Vlad doesn't really need these guys at this point. He's at a level where he's got people lined up to do interviews. And he's got people lined up to be reoccurring guests that want to be reoccurring guests. Because who the fuck fucks up a bag of 4Gs? Just to appear, sit down, and talk for an hour. Literally, you're talking for an hour and 30 minutes, and you're getting $4,000. Unless you're just making off your comedy shows 50 Gs every night, then I can understand, like, I'm not really going to do it. I'm not really interested. But if you got a night you're just chilling, and you can go and do an interview with Vlad, get more exposure, get your name out there more, and get paid, like, I don't understand how Boozy and him fuck this up. Makes no damn sense. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because, you know, it just shows that it kind of, Vlad did this to himself because of paying people and being publicly open about paying people. He did it himself because all these other platforms, they don't pay. Breakfast Club doesn't pay. Shannon Sharp Show doesn't pay. Whatever, no jumper pays here and there, but like a lot of these other platforms, they do not pay. 95% don't pay. And now whenever I reach out to platforms to try to do interviews, whenever I try to reach out to artists, oh, you got to pay me, bro. You got to pay me. And it's like, bro, look what Vlad did. Vlad like fucked the game up where now I'm getting charged hundreds of dollars for random people that barely get any views. And I'm like, nah, man, I just don't want to do it. I'm not here to pay $500 or $1,000 to fucking bring in my platform to tell the same story he's telling every fucking other platform. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of my take on it. And Aries, you're going to regret it. I think the Aries thing is more serious than the Boozy thing because the Boozy thing is more respectful versus the Aries thing where it's getting disrespectful. And I think Vlad just doesn't care. And honestly, I'm on Vlad's side, man. Everything he said made sense because I know from the content creator side, when you're not a content creator and you're looking out on it, you can be like, oh, man, fuck Vlad. Oh, man, he just doesn't want to, he's stingy with his money. But what somebody pays you is what's your worth. What are you bringing in views? What are you like? And you got to, not even just views, you got to see the back end because sometimes videos get demonetized. If they get demonetized, that means you're not making any money off the video. So it's like it's a lose situation for you. It doesn't matter always about views. There are videos on my channel that got, I think there's one video I have that's 2 million views and it's demonetized. I make nothing on that, but it has 2 million views. So somebody can look at that video and be like, oh my God, 2 million views, Quake made whatever amount of money. Or they'll see a documentary that I made that got millions of views and it's copyrighted. So I get nothing off that either. So you can't just solely go off of views. Sometimes people are not getting paid a single penny off those views because of copyright, because of demonetization. So that's a fact. That's a risk that the creator takes if they were to pay a guest to do an interview. And you got to recoup that money, you know, and that's one interview I've done I haven't recouped. I think it's the Hot Rod one because I paid so much to go over there, book the flight and all that. And I got to check the numbers, but I think I'm close to recouping. But regardless, like I had to pay to do the interview, I had to pay to fly there, pay to the area to book, do all. Luckily, I shot it myself, so I didn't have to pay cameramen and stuff. And a lot of the other stuff I did myself, editing and all that, which saved me money. But still, like, you know, that costs money, man. That costs a lot of money, and you got to be able to bring that money back to you. And they don't realize that. I think people like in these type of, you know, fields where they're just like, they do comedy and they think it's like a different structure. Like if you don't understand content creation, you know, and Vlad said he's been transparent. He's been showing them numbers. He's been showing what he's made. So, I mean, what more do you want? Like Vlad doesn't have to show you and be transparent to you at the end of the day. You know, even if you want more money, you can be like, no, I don't have to show you. I make this what I make, and you either can take it or leave it, you know? So, and what's crazy is Vlad said he actually gave him a recent pay increase. So he's probably getting paid $3,000 or $3,500. He said, yeah, I'll increase it another $500 or $1,000, whatever the amount is. So, just people being ungrateful, man. They both benefit off each other. So, like, if you guys are both benefiting outside of these interviews, why fuck that up? Even if you're not getting a lot of money from that said interview. It's like, it's a short mentality mindset. It's like, dude, and he said it on the recent interview he did with Vlad. He said, I'm getting way more exposure and booking way more shows because of these Vlad interviews. And people are recognizing me way more because of these Vlad interviews. So you're getting money outside of these Vlad interviews more than you ever would. So you got to like count that as like, hey, I'm getting, not just 4,000, I'm getting whatever, 10,000, 5,000, whatever off these shows as well because of the Vlad stuff. And yeah, Aries made this like kind of dumb, just a bad like example of why he should get a pay increase. He like showed comments of people saying, oh, I only go on Vlad to watch Aries. It's like, that's a stupid way of measuring whether you should get paid more. Like, yeah, look at these comments. Like Vlad said, he could find comments saying, I don't like Aries. I don't want to see him on Vlad TV. Does that mean that the value of what he's paying you goes down because he showed you those comments? No. Comments don't have nothing to dictate. It's all about views, man. What views are you bringing in? And that's it. That's your value. It's that simple. If you're a top dog, you're bringing a lot of views, then hey, you get paid properly for that. Yeah, this back and forth has just been interesting. I just want to talk about it from a creator perspective. And, for the most part, Vlad's been making sense, man. Boozy and Aries just, I guess they don't understand the content creation world. So it's harder for them to comprehend X, Y, and Z, I guess. But Vlad's going to understand it as he's doing his own Patreon. And Aries is probably going to start doing his own content with his podcast and building it more. And then they're going to understand. They're going to be like, oh, shit, we fucked up. But yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward. Kanye West is doing a show in my basically home country. I'm in Kosovo, but Albania is my home country because Kosovo and Albania were one at one point. Now Kosovo's independent, but still, regardless, I'm Albanian. But it's cool that he's doing a concert. A temporary stadium is being built for this concert, which is crazy, a 60,000 temporary stadium. The interesting thing is I actually know the guy that's setting this up and doing it. They paid Kanye $2 million. Kanye is not building the stadium, regardless of what reports out there. Oh, billionaires, Kanye's got so much power, he's building the stadium himself because he can't perform. No, this is literally done by the Albanian government mixed in with the investors that are there that want Kanye there that are paying him $2 million. I will be attending this. This is the first time seeing Kanye in person, and I'm probably, maybe if I can get an interview with Kanye, it would be really cool. But I know the people there, so I'm going to head out there and actually attend this. So yeah, if you are anywhere in the Albanian area or, around there surrounding, definitely check it out or fly out there, man. I think it's going to be a crazy show. Capacity 60,000 people, which is going to be insane. I don't think I've ever been in a show with 60,000 people. I could be wrong. But going to be crazy, man. So yeah, just really cool, and I'm excited for it. The New York Times has decided to publish a list of the 30 greatest living American songwriters, as voted by over 250 insiders and 6 critics. That's interesting. So these are the list of the writers. And I'm like, some of these people I don't recognize, and some of these people I'm like, how the fuck are they on this list? So they got Young Thug on here, which I'm like shocked. They're way better songwriters. They don't have 50 on here, which is insane. They don't have Eminem on here, which is insane considering 50's songwriting ability is like next level. Eminem made Stan like literally one of the best storytelling records of all time. They got The Dream on here, which I respect. They got Jay-Z, which I'm shocked. Again, I'm like, damn, I guess I understand Jay-Z to a certain extent, but they be dick eating Jay-Z as usual. Young Thug being on here is surprising. Kendrick Lamar is, it's fine. Drake not being on here is surprising as well. Drake should be on here, despite him having a little bit of ghostwriters here and there. He's still written a lot of records for himself and for a lot of artists. I like Outkast on here, Missy Elliott on here, Mariah Carey I'm fine with. The Dream, obviously The Dream's written a lot of records. Bad Bunny, Babyface, Stevie Wonder. Some of these names I'm like, Babyface, I don't know. I don't really know his category of shit that he's done. But some of these are, make sense. Lionel Richie, obviously Taylor Swift is a huge songwriter. Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, some of these guys have written records that still get sampled to this day. But yeah, I was mainly shocked at Young Thug being on here and not having Drake, Eminem, or 50 on here because they're some of the best songwriters in music, period, you could argue. But yeah, I was like, stupid, man. Young Thug, I think a lot of people are surprised at Young Thug being on here. It's like, what the fuck, Young Thug? Like, they're trying to, I guess, cater to a newer generation, but he's not one of the best songwriters ever. I didn't sit a Young Thug. There hasn't been a single Young Thug song where I sat down and was like, wow, like this just blew my mind. like, wow, this guy's a fucking genius. I don't have that. At least with Jay-Z, like, I got moments where I'm like, okay, I can understand why they got him on here. Kendrick Lamar, obviously, there's moments. But Young Thug, that's the thing that shocked me. I was like, these motherfuckers lost their mind. They're smoking that New York Times crack over there. But that's my take on it, man. For the most part, most of the list makes sense. I'm glad, like, Missy Elliott got her flowers, and The Dream is somebody who definitely deserves his flowers. He's written so many hit records for people. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, that's my take on it, and let me know what you guys think. Okay, time for the Michael movie review. If you haven't seen the movie, do not listen to this. This is going to be spoilers all over the place. So let's start out first with the runtime of the movie. I didn't expect it to be 2 hours and 10 minutes. For some reason, to me, when I was watching it, it felt very quick. And the reason why I say this is because in the movie, the dates go by very, very quick. Like, it starts out with Michael, as a kid, and I think I don't know what the year is, 1960 something. And one of like the first early scenes is that he gets beat by his dad. It's like within the first 10 minutes of the movie. So it makes it clear, like, okay, this is what he was growing up. And they had to have like a villain, quote unquote, in the movie. And his dad was basically the villain. His dad was the one that was like not beating him, constantly forcing him to perform, and not really wanting him to leave the Jackson 5 group or the Jacksons group because it would conflict with the money that's coming in. And Michael was like scared to tell him that. Basically, Michael in the movie at one point, which is funny, he actually faxed his manager, who wanted to be his manager at the time, faxed Joe that he's fired from being Michael's manager. And they faxed it to him instead of telling him in person, which was a funny part of the movie. But let's just kind of go over like let's just go over the parts I like. One, Jafar Jackson was perfect for the role. He's as close, obviously he's related to Michael, being his nephew, but he's like the best. What I hate about biopics a lot of the times too is the person that's acting as the actual famous person doesn't really fit it that well. There's something that's off. But with Jafar, there were actually scenes in the movie where it looked like Michael. I was like, is that Michael Jackson in this fucking movie? Like, that's how close he got to it, which was amazing. His performance in this was like, he deserves an Oscar. Like, I know I was watching interviews of it. He dedicated years just learning the moves. And like, before he even got picked, he was basically training 2 years ahead of time before he got picked to actually do the movie. So he wasn't officially picked, and he was still, training for the movie. So he just nailed everything, man. There wasn't anything that I had an issue with. His voice was down packed to how Michael talks. The outfits, everything in terms of visually as the main actor, perfect. I think everybody was casted perfectly. I think the casting was great. I had no issue with it. The visuals of the movie was amazing, perfectly executed. Obviously, the music was licensed. It was the actual music, and there was mixtures of Jafar in the actual music as well, which was great. What else? What's another thing that I really enjoyed about the movie? I do like that there was parts where they went into a little bit more detail. I think they ended it at around the right time, where his prime was, and ended it in Bad, because he had, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. I think that was his prime in his 20s, which is a crazy run of albums. Off the Wall, Thriller, and then Bad is insane. But yeah, they ended it, I think, at the right time in the movie. I think that timeline of events for his first movie is great. And then they do the second one, which follows up to the more juicier, I guess, stuff where people are more interested in the allegations and pretty much things that are crumbling around him. This movie was more about like, hey, this is his success. This is his journey. Yeah, he had some things he had to fight against with his dad and certain things with labels and here and there with MTV not playing his movies and his music videos. And, I get that. There was like stuff like that where it made sense. One of the funnier scenes, which I really enjoyed, was him getting his monkey Bubbles and his whole family coming out and like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And he's like, look, this is my monkey. I pet monkey Bubbles and all this. And they were just outside the house, like just like looking at each other like, what the hell is going on? That was a really funny scene that I enjoyed. But yeah, overall, those are the stuff that I enjoyed. I think, it was like casting-wise perfect, execution of how the movie looked perfect, and the ending, not the ending per se, but just where it ended made sense. It was perfect. Yeah, it had a good balance of things. Now now there's more like detailed cons that I didn't like. I felt 2 hours and 10 minutes, which it didn't feel like that because of the way the movie was moving so fast. The movie, to me, I'm going to be honest with you, I felt like the movie was 1 hour and like 40 minutes. That's what I felt. When I got out the theater, I was like, we really just spent 2 hours and 10 minutes watching something? It felt like it was really quick. Like the dates were coming, and it was just like, all right, this is what's happening. Boom, zoom next to the next one. And I understand it's a movie, so there's only so much you can fit. But I felt like the two major events should have had more focus, should have had more kind of like explaining more roots, kind of like to set up the next movie. And the event of the Pepsi, where his hair catches on fire, like they should have slowly start to put in the grassroots of he's getting addicted to pills, because that's when it started. The drug addiction thing started with the oxycodone, whatever the fuck he was taking, because I don't know what exact drugs, but that's where the root cause of the drug addiction stuff started, where his sleeping issue started because of the drugs and stuff. So that should have been addressed a little bit more. That should have been explored a little bit more. There should have been more about, was there a lawsuit with the Pepsi thing, which I don't know 100%. What was the kind of conditions of that? Like, there should have been more of like scenes of people getting upset and mad about the situation. I felt like it happened and then just kind of like he was in the hospital and just went on and he's back to normal. I felt like there's more that should have been explored there. Another one was what else, man? Let me see. Let me actually, because I wrote in my notes here. But there was another one where that just went by. It went by quick, and I was like, man, they should have explored this a little bit more. I felt like this is something that they just went past, and I was like, come on, man. Yeah, the MTV thing. So that was another thing that was huge in the story, that I felt like it was just like a couple of phone calls and it's done. That's one thing that I didn't really like about the movie, that I felt, there's just events in this that just went way too quick. And I understand, because it's like, maybe what they should have done is they should have announced it as a 3-part movie series, and they should have focused like the first part as his childhood, because I think it deserves its own movie because of the massive success. And then the second part, because with his childhood also, they kind of just went quick by his, like, he didn't have a childhood. Like, they didn't explore like his, I guess, depression in that as a kid. They should have like explored it a little bit more, maybe, because like Michael mentions always all the time a story of like kids playing outside and he couldn't play with them. He always had to stay inside. He didn't have time. Like, there was more stuff that they could have deep dived into. But let's just say we skipped the childhood part, right? This movie should have started like as he becomes a teenager and an adult. That I felt like that would have been a better, more like time to focus on more important things that were happening. But it's just so much to fit into one movie. I know they had an alternate ending with him, looking out the window and police lights are coming with the abuse allegations, but they reshot it to end it in the way that they ended it now. But yeah, those two events, the MTV thing and the Pepsi thing, should have been explored more. I know people were complaining about saying the Jackson stuff should have been explored more too, with him having issues with his brothers here and there. But I was like, that's kind of their story. Like, this is mainly about Michael. I do feel like the movie was more of a concert at certain times, where when he was performing, like they just did a whole like music video when he's performing "Beat It." Is it just Beat It or Billie Jean? When he's performing that and doing the moonwalk and all that, like it was the full Billie Jean song. So a lot of these parts in the movie felt like it was like, okay, here's the acting, here's the movie, and then in between there's a break of music video. Here's the acting, here's the between, and in between there's a music video, which I didn't mind, but I was like, it just kind of threw me off because I wasn't used to seeing a movie like that, I guess. So it wasn't really wasn't a con, but it was just kind of like, a little too much of it. Now, the part that really, really upset me, the part that I really, really didn't like, was the ending. Because I'm sitting here where the ending part is Michael going on stage, or like close to the ending is Michael going on stage with the Jackson 5 while they're in America, and you got Joe Jackson planning all this world tour and saying, yeah, we're going to kill it worldwide. And then Michael Jackson's plan is to go on stage and to announce that day, that night, that he's done, that this is the final show. And that then it shows like the camera pan into Joe like being shocked, and his brothers being like, what's going on? Like, we didn't plan for this. And then him leaving. And then as he's leaving, it transitions to him in the bad era. So it's another like quick transition, and he performs the bad song, and that's it. The movie ends there. And it's like, they could have ended it in a better way where it's like, okay, we're expecting an ending. It just kind of ended. I was like, really? That's it? It's done? That's what kind of threw me off, that I was like, I didn't like that ending for it. I felt like they could have added something that would have led to a potential second movie that would have made it more interesting for a second movie. But I mean, I think they tried that originally, and because of the child lawsuit, the lawsuit says that you can't interpolate him in a movie or something like that. So they didn't know that, and then they shot that not realizing it, and that to reshoot it. So, they kind of just made an ending that they felt was suitable for the first part. But yeah, I just didn't like the ending. I felt like it could have had a little bit better of like, more of an ending. I don't know how to word this properly. More of just like, okay, we know this is going to be the end part of the movie. It just kind of went to the bad and then just stopped right there. And I was like, okay. But yeah, overall, man, I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10. I felt like the number one thing to pull off that's really hard is the casting, man. And they knocked that shit out the park. Everybody did their roles perfectly. The complaints here really is just how quick things went. But it's very hard to pull off something like this in 2 hours and 10 minutes, man. Very hard to like get each piece. But I feel like, to be honest with you, man, take this movie and just make it into a TV series with all those actors. Like, I would watch this as a TV series because I feel like his life deserves at least 4, 5, 6 seasons. Like, literally, he can get away with at least 4 seasons because his childhood can be season 1. Season 2 could be him going into teenagers and dropping off the wall. Season 3 can be thriller and bad. And then season 4 or 5 can be the rest of the stuff that he has in his life up until 2009. Yeah, I'm excited for the second movie. Apparently, it's being greenlit because of the crazy money it's being made, breaking all these records. But that's my take on it. I give it an 8 out of 10. I want to see it again. But all it did was remind me that Michael Jackson is literally the best entertainer in planet Earth. There's nobody even comes close to him. There's nobody, not a single person that's ever made music or ever entertained that's even close to him. I mean, this guy was set on just being the best, and he accomplished that. So, great movie, man. I can't wait, like I said, for the second one, but that's my take on it. 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Let's get into it. New music. Skrilla dropped Z, the album. Isaiah Rashad dropped It's Been Awful, the album. Tusi dropped Proud of Me. Northwest dropped her EP, North Forever, which is crazy. Chris Brown dropped Fallen with Leon Thomas. He's got his album dropping, May 8th. Nav and Quavo dropped Mutt, the Baby Glorilla, and YK Nice dropped Pop That Thing Remix. And Lil Skies dropped No Fear. Let's get into album sales. Lots of interesting album sales here. Ella Langley, Dandelion, number 1 with 105,000 sold. Morgan Wallen, I'm the Problem, number 2 with 83,000. Number 3 debut, Tomorrow Together, 7th Year, A Moment, Stillness in the Thorns. Crazy long titles, man. 68,000 sold. Number 4, BTS, Air Ring, 61,000 sold. Number 5, Justin Bieber, Swag, 60,000 sold. Number 6, Olivia Dean, The Art of Loving, 44,000 sold. Don Toliver, Octane, number 7, 42,000 sold. K-Pop Demon Hunters, the soundtrack, at number 8 with 41,000 sold. Number 9, Bad Bunny with 40,000 sold. Number 10, Morgan Wallen, One Thing at a Time with 40,000 sold. SZA SOS, number 15 with 33,000 sold. Ye Bully, number 16 with 33,000 sold. Michael Jackson, number 1's at number 21 with 28,000 sold. Let's see. Drake, Take Care, number 28 with 25,000 sold. Drake, Views, number 43 with 19,000 sold. Kanye West, Graduation, number 44 with 19,000 sold. Cardi B, Am I the Drama, number 46 with 18,000 sold. So shout out to all those artists. Let's get into the Billboard Hot 100. This is what I was talking about earlier. Olivia Rodrigo debuted at number 1 with Drop Dead. Now, if you go on YouTube, this video's got like 20 million views, and it's released 2 weeks ago. So I don't know how this song debuts at number 1 2 weeks later. Somebody has to do some explaining there. That makes no damn sense. Maybe it didn't register because it was halfway into the week. I don't know. But she got a debut at number 1. Again, this is the first time an artist dropped, every album she dropped, her first single off the album debuted at number 1, which has never been done before. So I guess congratulations. I don't know, industry plant stuff, or if she's actually talented. I have no idea. The song's not bad. I actually listened to it just to check it out, see what's going on. But yeah, crazy. She's at number 1. Choosing Texas, Ella Langley, number 2. I Just Might, Bruno Mars, number 3. Man I Need, Olivia Dean, number 4. Be Her, Ella Langley, number 5. Ordinary, Alex Warren, number 6. So Easy, Olivia Dean, number 7. Daisies, Justin Bieber, number 8. Golden Hunter, number 9. And then Folded Kalani, number 10. Going down the list, let's see some hip-hop. See if we got any hip-hop records on here. Don Toliver, E85, number 25. popped that thing to baby number 30. So this is climbing. It was at 29 last week, but it's doing it. That's its peak, at least 29. So it's still up there. Let's see. Baby, Justin Bieber, number 39. It's crazy. Luda. T.I. Let Him Know, number 41. That's slowly going down the charts. Interesting enough. Bossman D-Lo, Motion Party, number 50. Lil Uzi Vert, What You Say, number 53. Pooh Shiesty, FDO, number 67. Ye, Father, and Travis Scott, number 69. Miss Trendsetter, Little Baby, number 72. That's been like in the 80s and 70s and 90s for a minute, man. Chris Brown, Obvious, number 79. Yeah, that's it for songs. And that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. As always, appreciate you guys. Spotify, Deezer, Podcast, YouTube, all that. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.